the most bizarre years in history, and how they changed the world. Imagine waking up in a world where the sun no longer shines the way it used to. The sky is covered in a strange haze, days feel like permanent twilight. Temperatures begin to fall, even in summer. Crops fail, livestock die, food becomes scarce. No one understands what is happening. There is no science to explain it, no news reports, no satellites. Only fear. This was the year 536 AD, a year so catastrophic that modern historians and climate scientists describe it as one of the worst periods to be alive in human history. But 536 was not the only year that shocked humanity. Moments in history when nature, disease, and political chaos collided, creating years so strange they reshaped civilizations. Let's begin with 536 AD. Historical accounts from the Byzantine Empire, Ireland, China, and the Middle East describe the same disturbing phenomenon. The sun gave forth its light without brightness, like the moon. For nearly 18 months, the northern hemisphere was covered in a mysterious volcanic haze. Tree ring data confirms something extraordinary. Global temperatures dropped by up to 2 degrees Celsius. That may not sound dramatic today, but in the 6th century, it meant total agricultural collapse. Harvests failed across Europe and Asia. Mass starvation spread. Economic systems weakened. And then, just as societies struggled to recover, another disaster struck. In 541 AD, the Justinian plague began. Believed to be caused by Yersinia pestis bacteria, this pandemic killed an estimated 25 to 50 million people. Nearly half of the Byzantine Empire's population disappeared. Trade networks collapsed. Military power weakened. Some historians argue these combined disasters prevented the Roman Empire from ever fully recovering. Recent research suggests the darkness in 536 AD was a massive volcanic eruption, likely in Iceland, followed by another in 540. Ash particles blocked sunlight, triggering what scientists call a volcanic winter. This single environmental event changed the political and economic balance of Europe for centuries. Now let's move forward more than 1,000 years. The year is 1816. Known historically as the Year Without a Summer, in April 1815, Mount Tambora in Indonesia erupted in the most powerful volcanic explosion recorded in human history. The eruption released approximately 150 cubic kilometers of volcanic material into the atmosphere. Ash clouds circled the globe. Sunlight was reduced. Temperatures dropped worldwide. By 1816, strange weather patterns shocked the northern hemisphere. Snow fell in June in New England. Frost destroyed crops in France and Germany. Famine spread across parts of Europe. Food prices skyrocketed. Riots broke out. Thousands migrated in search of survival. But 1816 also influenced culture in unexpected ways. During that cold and gloomy summer, a group of writers gathered near Lake Geneva in Switzerland. Among them was Mary Shelley. Confined indoors by relentless storms, she began writing what would become one of the most influential novels in literary history, Frankenstein, a story about science, creation, and unintended consequences. A dark year inspired dark imagination. Now let's go back even further. The year is 1347. A fleet of trading ships arrives in Sicily. But they are not just carrying goods. They are carrying disease. The Black Death enters Europe. Within 4 years, the bubonic plague kills between 30 to 60% of Europe's population. Entire towns are abandoned. Mass graves become common. Medical knowledge is limited. Fear spreads faster than the bacteria itself. Religious extremism increases. Minority groups are persecuted. Economic systems collapse due to labor shortages. But from this devastation came structural transformation. With fewer workers available, surviving laborers demanded higher wages. Feudal systems weakened. Urban centers slowly reorganized. Public health awareness gradually improved. The plague reshaped European society in ways that directly influenced the Renaissance. Now let's move to the 20th century. 1968, a year of global turbulence. In the United States, civil rights protests intensify. Martin Luther King Jr. is assassinated. Robert F. Kennedy is assassinated. The Vietnam War escalates. Mass protests erupt worldwide. In France, millions strike against the government. In Czechoslovakia, the Prague Spring reform movement is crushed by Soviet tanks. It felt like global instability was everywhere. And yet, in that same year, NASA successfully orbits the moon with Apollo 8. Humanity prepares to step onto another world. 1968 represents something powerful. Simultaneous crisis and progress. Political unrest and technological advancement. Fear and ambition existing at the same time. So what do these bizarre years teach us? They reveal the fragile relationship between humanity and nature. They show how environmental events, pandemics, and political instability can accelerate change. They remind us that history does not move in a straight line. It moves through disruption. Volcanic winters forced climate awareness. Plagues forced medical innovation. Social unrest forced political reform. The most chaotic years in history often became catalysts for transformation. When societies face extreme pressure, they either collapse or evolve, and more often than not, humanity evolves. The sun returned after 536. Agriculture recovered after 1816. Europe rebuilt after the Black Death. Nations restructured after 1968. Every bizarre year carried destruction. But it also carried momentum towards something new. History shows us that uncertainty is not the end of the story. It is often the beginning of a new chapter. Thank you for watching Past to Present. If you enjoyed deep historical analysis, mysterious events, and powerful turning points that shaped our world, subscribe and join this journey through time. Because understanding the strangest years in history helps us better understand the world we live in today. And sometimes the past explains more about the future than we realize. See you in the next story.